You're listening to The Objective Jerk, and I am said jerk. How's it hanging? Hope everybody's staying warm, staying out of trouble, and not being crazy. You know, I was thinking about, because I think the last two podcasts I did like a kind of like a voice thing, sort of. Or I kind of did like a racist Asian one on the last one or something. And I was thinking about doing it again, but I can't do like accents or anything like that. Like, I suck at it. My youngest kid, he can do like some accents pretty good, British accents and everything, so it's kind of cool. But anyway, let's see. So I get input from some family. Not that my family listens to my podcast, because I know they don't. But you know, they kind of know what I talk about. And when I say family, I mean like my wife and my kids. I don't know, maybe I have family members that listen to it. I have no idea. And I think if they did, they probably would have let me know. I have some friends that do. But anyway, so my wife's like, why don't you talk about like personal stuff? You know, why don't you talk about... And I was like, well, I do share some personal stuff, kind of, especially when it like supports my opinion, you know, because this is why I have my opinion, because of my experience or whatever. But she's like, yeah, but just share like some kind of personal story, you know. And I don't like to get too personal, but I understand what she's saying, and so that's what I'm gonna try and do. But before I get into that, though, there's some stuff going on in the headlines that I can't not talk about. First of all, a while back, they had the Golden Globes, right? And they have a new category, and it's for like the most popular, best podcast, and probably not most popular, but best podcast or best new podcast or whatever. And you know, some actress won it or whatever. I can't think of her name. She was on SNL and stuff, but you know, everybody's like, what the crap, dude? How's it not Joe Rogan? You know, which, yeah, it is the most popular, but it's not new, that's for sure. But this is the first time that they've had the category. So, you know, but people are like, oh gosh, whatever. It's just more, you know, liberals sucking each other off and, oh, you're so great. You know, all that shit. And I was one of them, you know. I was like, stupid. There's been like other lists too where Joe Rogan's like, dude, he's the most, by far, the most popular podcast over anybody, you know. But whatever, right? But so Rogan had what's his nuts? I can't think of his name right now. On there on his podcast, and he asked him about it, and then Rogan explained why, and it was because they asked him if he wanted to be in the category or whatever, but he had to pay like $500 to be in the category for the paperwork and stuff, and he was just like, no, I'm good, I don't care. And I think that's fucking awesome, really. You know what I mean? Like, he knows he don't need all the fake, you know, you're so great. He knows he's got the #1 podcast. So what does he need a trophy to, you know what I mean? It's, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's like telling, you know, giving an award to Elon Musk because he's the richest person. Oh, look here. You know, I don't know. But it's hot, so I'm trying to like drink my coffee without burning myself. My glasses are all steaming up. Oh shit! I gotta let that cool a little bit. So there's that, and the other thing, which is so awesome and hilarious, is Don Lemon was arrested. That's so great, so great. I actually saw that last night before I went to bed, and I was like, oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Just warms your heart, you know what I mean? Because he's such a piece of shit. He is a garbage person. He really is. He don't care about the truth. He just cares about looking like he cares about the truth, man. You know, that's why he got fired from CNN. And then and now he's like he's claiming to be a independent journalist on YouTube and this and that, but he gets like no, I mean, he has views, he has followers, but it's nothing, and he's just trying so hard. And it's hilarious that he got arrested. Now, is he going to go to jail? I doubt it. That would be awesome. But, he got arrested, so there we go. That's good. He'll probably they'll go through the whole thing, and he's either going to plea because he doesn't want to deal with it. Maybe I could see him being like, no, I'm a journalist, I was doing it. And he's going to go and actually go take it to court. And he's going to have to pay fines, I think. He's not going to go to jail, I don't think. But he's going to have to pay, some fines and everything like that. But it's just crazy to me how they just think and this is, again, I talked about, I think in my last one, how like that video of Ilhan, I don't even know how to say her name, but Ilhan Omar, that fake video of her getting assaulted is basically Democrats in a nutshell, you know what I mean? And then this whole thing with Don Lemon is liberals in a nutshell. They don't get it. They just do not get it. And everybody's like, well, he was journalism. No, first of all, okay, yeah, so they went in, he knew, he was outside with them, and then they went inside, and then he followed, which they were all breaking their amendment rights, right? Just because you have some sort of right doesn't mean you can break someone else's because you're constituting your amendment right. You know what I mean? So if the thing is like January 6th, right? Everybody talks about, January 6th. You had people doing the same thing who recorded and did stuff. They went to jail. They got arrested and went to jail for the same thing. They were charged for the same, and they were just walking around just recording stuff. You know what I mean? So you can't really like, he was just journalism. Trying to journalisming. I don't know. Anyway, but so these laws, what was it, the act, or what was it called? And then it was something with the KKK, but this law was created because the KKK used to harass black folks when they went to church, and they kept doing it. So they made this law so they couldn't do it. So then they stopped. Made all these laws to stop the racism and stuff, And just because it's now a black person doing the harassing doesn't mean he's immune to it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he thinks, because he's gay and black or something, and he's a journalist, he can just do whatever he wants. But he's screwed, though, because of two things. One, because he went inside the church, and he wasn't just recording and just kind of talking to the whatever. He talked to the pastor, and the pastor's like, hey, you guys need to leave. When he's like, well, he was told to leave, and he wouldn't. And he kept saying, I'm doing that's my First Amendment right, blah, 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 blah. And he was just like constantly trying to like goat the pastor to say something or do whatever. So that's one of his mistakes right there. The other mistake is there was an email, or it was a post. I can't remember what it was, but I saw where the individual who organized it, who was arrested, she threw some names of people who were involved, and Don Lemon's name was on there, and this was before the whole thing went down. So he was a part of it. He wasn't just like walking by with his crew, oh crap, something's going on here, let me see. It's like, no, dude, it's just, he got arrested, he deserves it. He should go to jail for a little bit, but I mean, if they did it to the people at January 6th, then yeah, he should go to jail. But I mean, him getting arrested and getting fined is good enough for me. His career's over, though. I mean, it's already been over. It's just hilarious. Because he wants to be like the guy that broke open the fraud in Minneapolis, But he's creating the stuff that he's trying to report. You know, he's not going after actual. He's not being a real journalist. He's not a real journalist. He's just a talking head that got fired. He's a piece of shit. Like I don't care one iota about that dude. Like yeah, so that's good. That's good. That makes me happy. Okay, so on to personal story time, I guess. So like I said, my wife was like, share something to kind of let people kind of get to know you. And okay, yeah, I mean, I guess I was like, well, I haven't talked. I know I've talked a little bit about myself. I've shared some stories, but it's been kind of a while, so maybe I'll do one. And what made me think of this was I was just talking to an old Army buddy of mine, and we're kind of sharing some background information and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll talk about this. But anyway, so I'm just gonna do like a quick rundown of my everything that had to do with the military. It's gonna be quick. And I'm going to focus more on after I got out of the Army and things I was looking at. But anyway, so after 9/11, I joined the Army as an MP. I tested high in mechanics, but I wanted to be an MP. So that's what I was. And while I was in the Army, I went to Iraq twice. I was on an SRT, which is like the Army SWAT team. I was on the entry team, and I liked being the primary, the point man through the door first. Not because I'm like badass and I'm fearless, but honestly because there's less. You can't make a mistake being the first guy in. When you're people behind you, you have to kind of get through and do the opposite of whatever the person in front of you and based on what's going on. So when you're the first guy, you just pick a side. You're never wrong. And, so that's why I kind of like to be in point man. Point man or breaching was always kind of interesting to me. I wanted to go to the breacher school, but I never did. Anyway, so then I met my wife and I got out in 2007. I was in the, inactive National Guard because that's part of the contract for like 3 years. And I actually got called up, but I didn't know about it until it was too late. Like my dad had gotten the packet for it. I kind of think he did it on purpose. I think he was trying to hook me up or help me out or something. Maybe. I mean, I probably would have went back. I don't know. It wasn't a good time. With me working and, I had a young son and trying to do everything. It wouldn't have worked out very well. It would have been a pay cut, because when I joined the Army, I took a huge pay cut. But I found out like way late when it was like I had like a week to report or something. And then, so I sent a letter and did everything and I was released. So, and then, I don't know, a year goes by or something, and you still, not everybody, but I think a lot of people still have that itch for the military. There were a lot of things I didn't like that pissed me off. I've told the story about the 9mm and just different things that just were, to me, just retarded. I hate, not that I'm like the best at everything, but I hate incompetence with certain things or things that just don't make sense. Like if is there really a reason that we have to do this or whatever? I mean, I understand like uniformity and support and all this kind of stuff, but sometimes when it doesn't make sense, like before we went to Iraq, I can't remember. I think it was the second time. Was it the second? I think it was the second time I went to Iraq. And they would have us all sit there and everybody's cleaning their weapons. Their weapons are as clean as an operating room. You know what I mean? You can't get them any cleaner. But they keep you there in case something comes up and they're doing whatever. And I wasn't really upset for myself. So, you know what? This was probably the first time. But I remember thinking, because I was single and my barracks were there. So, I mean, that's, when I was, PFC or something. But I was like, there's people here that got families and stuff. It's like, why not let them be with their families for as much as they can before we leave, And so just little kind of odd things that, to me just were, Again, there was probably some reasoning to it, but I think they could have handled it better. But for the most part, I liked being in the military. And so once I was out, I kind of felt I wanted to still be a part of it somehow, you know. I didn't want to do active duty because my wife didn't want me to get deployed because, you know, when I got blown up and everything, we were married and that was like the worst day. She was, you know, and it was kind of like a miscommunication thing. The guy in the rear detachment called her and was like, "Hey, your husband was involved in an explosion. We don't know anything," you know. And then so by the time I called her, she just was like, she was just, I could, you know, I'm like, "I'm good, I'm fine, don't worry," you know. So that kind of really, she was like, "Yeah, I don't want you to stay in," or I don't, you know. So and that's understandable, you know. But I started to get that itch, so I was like, okay. I was like, what if I look at the Air Force? You know, maybe I'll join the Air Force, the National Guard. And then I was like, if I do, I don't want to be an MP or SP for the Air Force. I was like, I want to learn a new trade, you know, a new job. So I went to a recruiter. I think I told this story, but maybe not. Anyway, I'm gonna try and get through it quick. Well, not too quick because I gotta. But so I spoke with a recruiter who was like an hour away, and spoke with him and found out some information, went home. And then the next time set up a chance or set up a appointment to take, no, I didn't have to take ASVAB because I had only been out for like 2 years or something like that. What was it? I think it was something. Or he had to find out something, or I don't know. It was, the whole thing took forever because in the middle of it, this guy he had surgery. And so he was out for a while. But it was like he was trying to figure out if it would work. So basically, I wanted to be a jet engine mechanic, and I was like, you know, I can do it as a civilian, and then do it on the weekends. You know, put on the uniform, do it on the weekend. I thought that sounded good, and because like I said, I tested high for mechanics, but in the Army, you if you test high enough and you want to go to an MOS, then you can go. You know, ones MOSs that they need people in, they'll have like cash bonuses. Hey, if you want to get a little extra cash, you can join the infantry or whatever. And but I wanted to be an MP for, I don't know. I used to want to be a cop when I was younger. Anyway, so you know, when I went to this recruiter, he's like, "Dude, why were you an MP, man? You scored high in the mechanics." And I was like, "Yeah, that's how they do it or whatever." So that's what the route I was looking at, and I had everything lined up. I had my MEPS appointment, which is the appointment where you go and you get your physical and you do all the stuff. And then if everything's good, then you enlist and all that kind of stuff. Like I was ready to go. And then like 2 days or a day before my appointment, the recruiter calls me and he's like, "Hey, we have to cancel your MEPS appointment because at the time I had like 10% disability with the VA." And he's like, "We have to put in a what is it? I mean, I still could have went in, but he had to put in I can't think of the word right now, a certain form or whatever, and he's gonna have to put it in, and then have to wait for that, and then we'll do another MEPS date or whatever." And so by this time, what is the word? Like a certain authorization, they had to send in, fill out a form. Hey, is this still good? He's 10%, but um, gosh, it's right there, but I can't get it. Anyway, and so by this time, though, it was like 10 years, almost like a year from the time I went and seen him to this point. And I think I have talked about this, and I was actually kind of looking to move out of state, get a different job. We were kind of looking at that. So it was like, yeah, let's just hold off. Things might be changing or something, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't do it. And then I moved. And for three years, I wonder if it's just because I was around military, because at this point I was working at Fort Polk, but as a civilian. And then, well, no, because I don't know. I don't know why, but so then I got a job at another military testing site, which is a proving ground, and I didn't. This was in Utah. I didn't think about joining any kind of National Guard or anything at this time. Like it wasn't. I don't know. I liked my job and things were going pretty good. Like I didn't, I thought I was happy, and but then the proving ground was far from anything, and so it kind of got a little bit old after a while. And so we were kind of looking to see what we could do. And my wife, she was working all kinds of good positions and getting experience on the proving ground installation, but she was having a hard time trying to get something like in Salt Lake with the VA or whatever. And at this point in time, my mom was kind of like, man, it'd be nice if you lived here. So we were like, well, what about moving to Washington? We got Fort Lewis, what about that? And then, so that's ultimately what we ended up doing. So this was 4 years later. So what did I say? 2009. So yeah, we left, in like 2014, 13, 14. And then, so then when we're in Washington, I'm working as a civilian, as a law enforcement for the hospital there on Fort Lewis, which is now Joint, Lewis McChord, Joint Base Lewis McChord or whatever. They combine the Air Force and the Army installations together. And so I was there, and again, that I got that hair up my ass again and wanting to join. And I was still within the time frame to, I have to pass a PT test and stuff like that, but I still was good as far as, all my stuff. Like, I think did I have to take the ASVAB? Oh, I think maybe I did this time though. I think I had to take it. I'm not sure. But anyway, so what happened this time, and I don't know why, maybe because I looked into it. I probably looked into the Air Force National Guard for and there was just nothing or something. I don't know why I didn't look at that route again, but I ended up looking at the Army National Guard for Washington, and I looked at Black Hawk mechanic, and I could have actually went in as a higher rank if I went as an MP, and I almost did it, but I was just kind of tired of law enforcement and everything at that time. Security, law enforcement, just all that kind of crap. So I was looking to join the National Guard as a Black Hawk mechanic. And I was excited about that too. And then, so part of that is like you're a mechanic, but then you're also a crew chief or a crew member. They call it crew chief. But so like I might, man like a machine gun on the helicopter, on the Black Hawk, I'm the mechanic, but I also do, I go with the Black Hawk. It's not, sometimes they have, mechanics where you're just, at the airstrip or wherever they're at, and you work on the Black Hawks. They have to go out of commission or whatever, and you got to fix them. But they also have individuals that work, that go with you're part of the team, and you'll I think it's mostly the gun. They'll control the gun. They'll be the gunner, and then you're also a mechanic. So when something happens, you can possibly fix it if possible in the field. Which is a little more dangerous than just being staying back and working on. So I don't know actually of the two. I don't think I got quite that far yet. I think everything was looking good. And why this is all going, I'm going to the VA and I'm getting stuff checked out. I'm going through some issues too, PTSD wise. And I had went and seen a therapist, and they evaluated me. So right about this time, that evaluation went through, and again, my rating went up. So I was like, oh man, okay, which was good, but you get more benefits, you get, more medical stuff that's part, prescriptions or whatever. Um, but then I didn't know if that was going to affect me getting into the National Guard. And so I messaged my recruiter. I was like, hey, my rating just went up to this. Is this going to affect it? He's like, yep, I cannot take you. We can't accept you. So I was just like, oh. So I was kind of butthurt. I mean, I was, it's nice having the rating with the VA and getting the help that you need, and it makes it much easier. But yeah, I was kind of bummed, to be honest with you. So that was, 2014, 15, something like that. So it's 10 years now. God, it's crazy how fast time goes by. I remember like, what? It's been 5 years since I got out. Now it's been 20 years. Over. Yeah. Man, when I crack my fingers, that's really loud. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's kind of it. I think I just wanted to talk about Don Lemon. Freaking retard. He's such an idiot, man. He is just an absolute trap. Let's see. Are there liberal kind of... See, there's not even like... I'm trying to think if there's like a good liberal reporter or journalist now. They've all kind of succumbed to being, influenced by a network that, like, is there anybody that's become an independent journalist and is successful at it and they're not biased? You know what I mean? Maybe they are a little bit, but they still report whatever they find. Is there anybody out there that's known for being a left-wing journalist that's independent, that is working, and is doing good journalism? Is there? Let me know. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out. And that's about it. I guess I'll see you guys next time. God bless. All right. Bye.